Imagine a world where one nation quietly builds the largest army on Earth. A nation that controls not just borders, but oceans, skies, and even space. A military force so massive that it could field over 2 million active soldiers at any moment. A country that has created stealth fighters to rival the United States. Warships that patrol the South China Sea. Nuclear submarines that vanish into the depths. And missiles that can strike almost every corner of the globe. This nation is not just preparing for war. It is preparing to reshape the balance of power. And recently, its ambitions became clearer than ever, when world leaders like Vladimir Putin, Narendra Modi, and Kim Jong Un arrived in Beijing for a historic summit hosted by Xi Jinping. Welcome back to Pandit TV. Today, we dive deep into China's People's Liberation Army, the weapons it commands, the strategies it employs, and the message it is sending to the world. Because this is not just about China's military. This is about the future of global power. Let's start from the beginning. The story of the People's Liberation Army begins in 1927, during China's turbulent civil war. Back then, it was not the giant we see today. It was a small guerrilla force, fighting against the ruling nationalist government. But under Mao Zedong, the PLA became more than an army. It became a revolution. It was through the PLA that the Communist Party seized power in 1949 and declared the birth of the People's Republic of China. Unlike in many countries, where the army belongs to the state, in China, the army belongs to the party. It is the armed wing of the Communist Party of China, loyal not to the nation, but to the party leadership. Today, this army has transformed into the largest standing military force in the world. 2 million active soldiers, 500,000 reserves. A budget officially at $225 billion in 2023. But unofficially, analysts believe it could be much higher. But the true transformation came after the 1990s, when China watched the US win the Gulf War in days, using stealth aircraft, precision bombs, and satellites. Beijing realized something important. Sheer numbers were not enough. Technology, precision, and speed were the new face of war. Since then, the PLA has undergone massive modernization. Every decade has brought new capabilities, from fighter jets and aircraft carriers to cyber units and space programs. And under Xi Jinping, the PLA has been restructured, streamlined, and sharpened into a force designed not just to defend China, but to project Chinese power worldwide. Now let's break down the machines, the technology, and the weapons that make the PLA such a fearsome force. First, let's talk about the ground forces. At the heart of China's land army is the Type 99 main battle tank. Think of it as China's equivalent of the American M1 Abrams or the Russian T-90. Armed with a 125mm smoothbore gun, explosive reactive armor, and laser rangefinders, it is designed for survivability and firepower. But the real game changer is the Type 15 light tank. Unlike the heavy Type 99, this is light, mobile, and made for mountain warfare. Where is it most useful? Along the Himalayan border with India, where tanks must climb difficult terrain. China also relies on a massive arsenal of artillery, armored vehicles, and rocket systems, giving its ground troops both speed and destructive power. Next, let's talk about the Air Force. The jewel of the PLA Air Force is the Chengdu J-20 Mighty Dragon. It's a fifth-generation stealth fighter, comparable to America's F-22 Raptor. What makes it special? Radar-absorbing design for stealth. Long-range air-to-air missiles like the PL-15, capable of hitting targets over 200 kilometers away. Avionics designed for electronic warfare and precision strikes. But that's not all. The Shenyang J-31 is another stealth fighter, likely aimed at exports and aircraft carrier use. China is also producing hundreds of fourth-generation fighters like the J-10C and the J-16, ensuring numerical dominance in the skies. Now, let's move to the Navy. China's Navy, the PLAN, is now the world's largest in numbers. It has over 350 warships, more than the US Navy. The backbone of this fleet is the Type 055 destroyer. Armed with 112 missile launch cells, it can launch anti-ship, anti-air, and land attack missiles. Think of it as a floating fortress, guarding China's carriers and projecting power in the South China Sea. Speaking of carriers, China has three major ones: Liaoning, bought from Ukraine and refitted; Shandong, China's first home-built carrier; Fujian, the newest and most powerful, using electromagnetic catapult systems similar to America's latest carriers. And below the waves are China's nuclear submarines, like the Type 094. Armed with JL-2 ballistic missiles, these subs give China a second strike capability, meaning if China is attacked, it can still retaliate with nuclear force. Next, let's talk about the rocket force. This is where things get truly dangerous. The DF-21D carrier killer, designed to destroy moving aircraft carriers, the pride of the US Navy. The DF-26, nicknamed the Guam Killer, with a range of 4,000 kilometers, targeting US bases in the Pacific. The DF-41 Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, with a range of over 12,000 kilometers, it can hit any American city in under 30 minutes. And the DF-17 Hypersonic Missile, traveling at more than 5 times the speed of sound, maneuverable in mid-flight, making it nearly impossible to intercept. These weapons send a clear message. The US Navy and its allies can no longer operate freely near China without serious risk. Finally, let's talk about space and cyber power. The PLA Strategic Support Force is China's hidden ace. It controls satellites, electronic warfare, and cyber attacks. China has tested anti-satellite weapons, capable of destroying enemy satellites. In modern war, blinding the enemy by cutting off GPS and communication could be more devastating than a missile strike. That's the level of power China is preparing for. But military power is only half the story. Now let's turn to politics. In 2024, Beijing hosted a massive summit, and the guest list shocked the world. Vladimir Putin from Russia, Narendra Modi from India, Kim Jong Un from North Korea, and dozens of other Asian leaders. Why did they all come? Because China is not just building weapons, it is building alliances. Putin needed China after Western sanctions isolated Russia. India's Modi attended because India cannot afford to ignore China's growing role in Asia. Kim Jong Un came to reaffirm North Korea's reliance on Beijing. The message was clear. China is trying to present itself as the center of Asian leadership, offering an alternative to the US-led global order. This summit wasn't just politics, it was strategy, showing the world that Asia's future may be written in Beijing, not Washington. Now let's talk about the strategy behind all this. China's goals are clear. 1. Regional dominance, securing the South China Sea, Taiwan Strait, and the Himalayas. 2. Global competition, challenging US influence, especially in the Pacific. 3. Economic expansion, through the Belt and Road Initiative, securing ports, railways, and trade routes across Asia, Africa, and Europe. 4. Domestic control, using the PLA to ensure stability at home, preventing threats to Communist Party rule. The PLA is not just an army. It is a political weapon, a symbol of Chinese pride, and a shield for China's rise. But with great power comes great risk. The more powerful China becomes, the more nervous its rivals grow. The US, Japan, India, and Australia are already strengthening their alliances, preparing for the day when confrontation may no longer be avoidable. The question is, will China's rise bring peace through power or conflict through ambition? History shows us that whenever one power rises and another declines, tensions explode. And today, we are living in that moment. This is Pandit TV. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And watch my latest video, now showing on your screen, for another eye-opening story about global power and conflict.